Admiral Kexthara stood on the bridge of his massive warship and looked at the small blue planet below. His ship was called Dominion's Edge, and it was bigger than Earth's moon. Around him floated 299 other ships, each one filled with weapons that could turn entire continents into glass and ash. The admiral's skin was dark purple and covered in thick scales. His forearms moved smoothly as he touched the control panels. His large black eyes showed no emotion as he studied the primitive world before him. This was the 17th star system he had conquered in his long military career. Each time had been the same. The local species would see his fleet, panic, and surrender within hours. "These humans are pathetic," he said to his second-in-command. His voice made clicking sounds that the ship's computers translated into human language. "Look at their ships, they are tiny. Most of them are not even built for war." Commander Vexstar, his lieutenant, studied the data on his screen. "The largest human vessel is only 300 meters long. Our smallest scout ship is twice that size. Their weapons appear to be chemical rockets and basic energy beams." Admiral Kexthara made a sound that was similar to laughter among his people. "They'd probably still use metal projectiles. How quaint." "Far below on Earth, Commander Jake." Morrison sat in the command center of the United Earth Defense Force. He was a tall man with graying hair and tired eyes. He had been a soldier for 25 years, but he had never seen anything like the alien fleet that now blocked out the stars above his planet. The main screen in front of him showed hundreds of red dots. Each dot represented an alien ship. The computer had been trying to count them for 3 hours, but the aliens kept moving their formation. The best estimate was 300 ships, each one larger than anything humans had ever built. "Sir," said Lieutenant Amy Torres, the communications officer, "we're receiving a transmission from the alien fleet." Morrison straightened in his chair. "Put it through." The screen flickered, and suddenly Morrison was looking at something that gave him nightmares for the rest of his life. The alien had 4 arms, scales like a reptile, and eyes that looked like black holes. When it spoke, the words came out in perfect English, but there was something cold and mechanical about the voice. "Humans of Earth," the alien said, "I am Admiral Kexthara of the Zephyrian Confederation. Your world has been selected for incorporation into our empire. You have 72 hours to surrender unconditionally. All human military forces must power down their weapons and prepare for occupation. Any resistance will result in the complete destruction of your planet." Morrison felt his mouth go dry. Around him, the other officers stared at the screen in shock. The alien continued speaking. "Do not mistake this for a negotiation. We have conquered 17 star systems. Not one has successfully resisted us. Your technology is primitive. Your ships are toys. Your weapons cannot harm us. Surrender now, and some of your population may be allowed to serve as laborers in our empire." The transmission cut off, leaving the command center in deadly silence. Morrison stood up slowly. His legs felt weak, but his voice was steady when he spoke. "Get me Director Kevin Walsh at the Global Defense Council. Priority 1. Within minutes, every world leader was connected to the Emergency Communication Network. President Sarah Williams of the United States, Prime Minister Chun Liu of the Global Asian Alliance, President Maria Santos of the South American Federation, and dozens of others. All of them had the same expression on their faces, fear. Director Walsh appeared on the main screen. He was an older man with white hair and deep lines around his eyes. He had been preparing for this day for 10 years, ever since the first alien signals had been detected. "Ladies and gentlemen," Walsh said, his voice calm despite the situation, "you've all seen the alien transmission. Our analysis teams have been studying their fleet for the past 6 hours. The news is not good." Dr. Helen Carter, Earth's leading expert on alien technology, joined the conversation. She was a young woman with short brown hair and intense green eyes. "The alien ships use technology we don't understand. Their hulls appear to be made of some kind of self-repairing metal. Their weapon systems generate energy levels that should be impossible. What are our chances if we fight?" asked President Williams. Dr. Carter was quiet for a long moment. "Honestly, Almost zero. Their smallest ships have more firepower than our entire fleet combined. Then we have to surrender, said Prime Minister Liu. We have to think about saving as many lives as possible. No, the voice came from Morrison, still standing in the Earth Defense Command Center. We can't surrender. Commander, said Walsh. I understand your military pride, but we have to be realistic. Morrison shook his head. It's not about pride, sir. I've been studying the data from the other systems they conquered. They don't take prisoners. Every planet they've incorporated has been stripped of all life within 5 years. Surrender doesn't mean survival, it means slow extinction. The communication channel went silent. Everyone was looking at the data Morrison had uploaded. System after system, all showing the same pattern. Initial conquest followed by systematic removal of all native life forms. They're not offering us slavery, Morrison continued. They're offering us a few extra years before they kill us all anyway. President Santos leaned forward. So what do you suggest, Commander? Morrison looked around the command center at his officers. These men and women had dedicated their lives to protecting Earth. Now they were facing an enemy that could destroy their world with ease. But in their eyes he saw something that gave him hope, not fear, not despair, determination. We fight, Morrison said simply. We make them pay for every inch of our world. We show them that humans don't kneel to anyone. The vote was taken 30 minutes later. It was unanimous. Earth would not surrender. Admiral Kexthara waited for the human response. In his experience, conquered species always responded the same way. First came desperate messages begging for mercy. Then came offers of tribute and valuable resources. Finally came the formal surrender, usually within 12 hours of his ultimatum. He stood on the bridge of Dominion's edge, watching the small blue planet through the massive viewing screen. His 4 arms moved gracefully as he checked the weapon systems. Everything was ready. If the humans chose to resist, their world would be burning within minutes. Admiral, said his communications officer, a young Zephyrian named Tekmor, we're receiving a transmission from the human fleet. Put it through, Kexthara ordered. He expected to see a human leader with tears in his eyes, ready to beg for his people's lives. Instead, the screen filled with the image of a human male in a blue uniform. The human's face was calm, almost relaxed. When he spoke, his voice was steady and confident. Admiral Kexthara, the human said, this is Commander Jake Morrison of the United Earth Defense Force. We've received your ultimatum and discussed it with our leadership. Kexthara leaned forward. This was proceeding normally. The human would now announce his surrender. We appreciate the warning, Morrison continued, but we have to decline your generous offer. The Admiral's black eyes narrowed. Something was wrong. The human's voice carried no fear, no desperation. If anything, he sounded amused. You see, Morrison said, and now other human voices could be heard in the background. We have a saying here on Earth, come and take it. Then something happened that Admiral Kexthara had never experienced in his 200 years of military service. The human began to laugh. It started as a low chuckle from Morrison, but quickly spread. Other human voices joined in, and soon the alien bridge was filled with the sound of human laughter. It wasn't the nervous laughter of fear. It was genuine amusement, as if the humans had just heard the funniest joke in the galaxy. They're laughing at us, Tekmor said, his voice filled with confusion. Sir, they're actually laughing. More human voices joined the transmission. Captain Lisa Blake from the orbital defense platform New Horizon could be heard clearly. Admiral, you made one critical mistake in your planning. What mistake? Kexthara demanded, his voice sharp with anger. You counted our ships, said another. Human voice. This one belonged to Commander Ryan Torres from the Mars Research Station. You measured our weapons. You calculated our military strength. But you didn't study our history. The laughter grew louder. Now it seemed like hundreds of human voices were joining in. Scientists, soldiers, even civilian workers who had refused to evacuate Earth were adding their voices to the chorus. We're a species that once fought wars with rocks and sticks, Morrison said, his voice cutting through the laughter. "We've been killing each other for thousands of years, and we've gotten very, very good at it." Admiral Kexthara felt something he had never experienced before. The humans weren't acting like any conquered species he had ever encountered. They should be terrified. They should be begging for mercy. Instead, they seemed to be enjoying themselves. "You have 50 ships against our 300, the Admiral said, his voice cold. "Your weapons are primitive chemical rockets. Your largest vessel is smaller than our scout ships. Explain your amusement." "Our strategy is simple, Admiral," came a new voice. "This one belonged to Captain Amy Rodriguez from a converted mining ship. We're going to destroy every single one of your ships. Then we're going to take your technology and visit your homeworlds. Consider it a cultural exchange program." The laughter stopped suddenly. In the silence that followed, Kexthara could hear something that made his scaled skin crawl. The humans were singing dot. It was a deep, rhythmic chant that seemed to come from every human ship at once. The alien computers couldn't translate the words, but the meaning was clear. It was a war song, older than human civilization itself. "Sir," Tekmor whispered, "their ships are beginning to move." Kexthara looked at the tactical display. The human fleet wasn't forming up for battle the way he expected. Instead, they were scattering in all directions, each ship taking a different path. It made no sense from a military standpoint. "They're running," said his tactical officer. "Individual ships fleeing in panic." But Admiral Kexthara had not conquered 17 star systems by being stupid. He watched the human movement patterns carefully. The smaller ships were using Earth's moon as a gravitational boost, building up incredible speed. The converted mining vessels were particularly fast, their empty cargo holds allowing them to accelerate beyond anything he had thought possible. "No," he said quietly. "They're not running, they're positioning themselves." Commander Morrison's voice came through the communication system one more time. "Admiral, you asked us to explain our amusement. Here's the thing about humans. We don't fight fair. We don't follow rules. We don't care about honor or tradition." The human ships continued their seemingly random dispersal pattern. Some dove toward Earth's asteroid belt. Others swung wide around the alien formation. A few appeared to be heading for the outer planets. "We fight like animals," Morrison continued. "We use every dirty trick we know. We turn everything into a weapon. We never, ever give up." "You're outnumbered 6-1, Kexthara said. "Your technology is centuries behind ours. You cannot win." "You're probably right," Morrison admitted. "But here's what you don't understand about humans, Admiral. We don't fight to win. We fight to make sure our enemies lose." The singing grew louder. Now it seemed to be coming from every human settlement, every space station, every ship in the solar system. Millions of voices joined together in an ancient war chant that spoke of defiance and determination. "We studied your previous conquests," said another human voice, Dr. Helen Carter from the Earth Science Institute. 17 star systems. Each one fell within days because they tried to fight you the way you wanted to fight. Ship to ship, formation against formation. "We're not going to do that," Morrison said. "We're going to fight the way humans have. Always fought like pack hunters, like pirates, like the desperate, stubborn, impossibly dangerous species that we are." The laughter returned, but now it was different. It was the laughter of predators who had found their prey. Admiral Kexthara watched the human ships scatter across the solar system like seeds thrown into the wind. His tactical officers were confused. This wasn't how space battles were supposed to work. Ships should form neat lines, face each other, and exchange fire until one side was destroyed. That was how civilized species fought wars. "They have no formation," complained Commander Vexstar. "No battle line. No coordinated strategy. They're just running in random directions." But Kexthara was studying the movement patterns more carefully. The human ships weren't moving randomly. They were using every moon, every asteroid, every piece of space debris as cover. The smaller ships were building up incredible speed by slingshotting around planets and moons. "Sir," reported the tactical officer, "we're detecting thousands of small objects drifting toward our fleet." Kexthara looked at the sensor readings. Tiny dots were moving slowly through space, looking like ordinary debris from the asteroid belt. "Space junk," he said dismissively. "Ignore it." On the bridge of the UES Liberty, Commander Jake Morrison smiled grimly. The Zephyrians were about to learn their first lesson about human warfare. Humans had been mining asteroids for decades, and those mining explosives had been converted into something much more dangerous. "All units," Morrison broadcast on the secure channel, "mining charges are in position. Prepare for detonation on my mark." Captain Lisa Blake positioned her defense platform New Horizon deep in the asteroid belt. Her ship was built around a single, massive railgun originally designed to launch cargo containers to the outer colonies. Now it was loaded with tungsten rods the size of telephone poles. "This is insane," muttered her weapons officer, Lieutenant Carl Williams. "We're outnumbered 20-1. "That's why we're not playing by their rules," Blake replied. She had been studying the alien ship designs for hours. The Zephyrians built their vessels like fortresses with thick armor and massive weapons designed to fight other large ships. But they had one weakness. Their weapons couldn't track small, fast targets very well. Commander Ryan Torres sat in the command center of the Mars Research Station, watching his industrial fabricators work at maximum speed. The machines had been designed to build habitats and equipment for the Mars colonies. Now they were building thousands of small, fast missiles. "How many do we have?" he asked his engineering chief. 15,000 and counting," came the reply. "Each one programmed to recognize Zephyrian hull signatures." Captain Amy Rodriguez pushed her converted mining ship Perseverance to its absolute limit. The vessel had been built to haul or from the asteroid belt, but its massive cargo holds were now filled with military hardware. More importantly, it still had its industrial mining laser, a tool designed to cut through solid rock. "All mining ships, this is Rodriguez," she broadcast. "Remember, we're not trying to fight fair. We're trying to get close enough to hurt them." The first phase of the human attack began quietly, the thousands of small objects drifting toward. The alien fleet suddenly came alive. Each one was a mining charge programmed to detonate when it detected a Zephyrian ship nearby. "Sir," shouted the tactical officer on Dominion's edge, "the debris field is exploding." Flowers of light bloomed across space as the mining charges detonated. Each explosion was small, but there were so many of them that the entire alien formation was suddenly surrounded by expanding fields of shrapnel and energy. "Evasive maneuvers," ordered Admiral Kexthara. His massive ships began to separate, breaking their tight formation to avoid the explosive debris. "Now," Morrison whispered into his communicator. The human ships struck from every direction at once. They didn't try to engage the aliens in direct combat. Instead, they used hit-and-run tactics, striking fast and then disappearing behind asteroids or planets. Captain Blake's New Horizon fired its massive railgun. The tungsten rod shot across space at a significant fraction of light speed, punching clean through two alien cruisers before its energy was spent. "Direct hit," shouted Williams. "Two ships down." But Blake was already moving her platform to a new position. The aliens would target her location within seconds, and she needed to be somewhere else when their return fire arrived. Rodriguez brought her mining ship in close to a Zephyrian destroyer. The alien vessel was 10 times larger than her ship, but its weapons were designed for long-range combat. She slipped inside their defensive perimeter and fired her mining laser directly into their engine section. "Mining laser, full power," she shouted. The industrial cutting beam, designed to slice through asteroid rock, cut through the alien hull like it was paper. All across the battlefield, similar scenes played out. Human ships appeared from behind asteroids, fired their weapons, and vanished again before the aliens could respond. The converted cargo haulers and mining ships were perfect for this kind of warfare. They were small, fast, and expendable. Commander Torres launched his first wave of missiles from Mars Station. 15,000 small rockets streaked toward the alien fleet, each one following a different path. The Zephyrian point defense systems opened fire, destroying hundreds of missiles, but there were too many to stop them all. "They fight like insects," Admiral Kexthara snarled as his ship shuddered from multiple impacts. "No honor, no courage, just swarming and stinging." "Sir," reported his damage control officer, "we've lost 47 ships. The humans are using tactics we've never encountered before." The Admiral stared at the tactical display. His neat, orderly formation had been completely disrupted. Human ships were everywhere, striking from unexpected angles and vanishing before his forces could retaliate. "They're using the entire solar system as their battlefield," he realized. "Every asteroid, every moon, every piece of debris is a potential weapon or hiding place." Morrison's voice came through the communication system again. "Admiral," you said. "We fight like animals, you're right. We fight like pack hunters, and you just became the prey." The human attacks continued relentlessly. They never stayed in one place long enough to be targeted effectively. They used every dirty trick they could. Think of, some ships pretended to be damaged, then attacked when the aliens moved to investigate. Others hid inside asteroid fields and ambushed passing ships. "Sir," Vextar said urgently, "we're losing ships faster than we can count them. The humans are everywhere." Admiral Kexthara felt something he had never experienced in his military career. For the first time in 200 years of conquest, he was facing an enemy that refused to fight the way he expected. The humans had turned the entire solar system into a trap, and his fleet was caught in the middle of it. Captain Amy Rodriguez pushed her mining ship Perseverance harder than she had ever pushed it before. The engine screamed as she dove toward the belly of a massive Zephyrian battlecruiser. The alien ship was 3 times the size of a city block, covered in weapons that could destroy entire fleets. But all those weapons were pointed outward, designed to fight other large ships at long distances. "Come on, baby," she whispered to her ship as laser fire streaked past her cockpit. "Just a little closer." The alien gunners were trying to track her small ship, but she was moving too fast and too close to their hull. Their massive guns couldn't turn fast enough to follow her erratic flight path. She slipped under their firing arc and pressed her mining laser against their armor. "Full power!" she shouted to her crew. The industrial cutting beam that had once carved through asteroids now burned through alien metal like butter. Atmosphere rushed out of the hole she created. Carrying debris and unfortunate aliens with it, Rodriguez was already pulling away before the aliens could respond. That was the key to human tactics. Hit hard, hit fast, and disappear before the enemy could fight back. Across the battlefield, Lieutenant Colonel Sam Mitchell led his squadron of converted cargo haulers toward the alien flagship. His ships looked harmless, just ordinary freight carriers with basic engines and simple hulls. The aliens ignored them, focusing instead on the larger human warships. That was exactly what Mitchell wanted. "Remember, people," he said over the squadron. "Frequency, we're not here to destroy that ship. We're here to get inside it." Mitchell's cargo haulers had been modified with breaching charges and boarding pods. While the aliens were distracted by the swirling battle around them, his squadron slipped through their defenses and attached themselves to the hull of Dominion's Edge like parasites. "Breach! Breach! Breach!" Mitchell called out as his Marines began cutting through the alien hull with plasma torches. Admiral Kexthara felt his flagship shudder as the humans began their boarding action. Warning lights flashed red across his bridge as his security chief reported the impossible. "Sir, we have human soldiers inside the ship. They're cutting through our hull in 17 different locations." "How?" Kexthara demanded. "How did they get past our defenses?" "They hid among the debris field, sir. Our sensors read them as wreckage from destroyed ships." The Admiral's forearms clenched into fists. These humans fought with no honor at all. They used tricks and deception instead of honest combat. They turned everything into a weapon, even their own destroyed ships, on the lower decks of Dominion's Edge. Mitchell's Marines were fighting their way through the alien corridors. The Zephyrians were larger and stronger than humans, but they had never fought an enemy that moved like this. The humans used every advantage they could find. Sergeant Kate Murphy threw a fire extinguisher at an alien soldier, blinding him with chemical foam before finishing him with her rifle. Corporal Don Roberts used a maintenance ladder as a club, swinging it like a baseball bat to knock down 2 aliens at once. "They're everywhere," screamed a Zephyrian officer into his communicator. "How did such primitive beings learn to fight? In zero gravity?" Commander Jake Morason's voice crackled through the alien ship's communication system. His team had hacked into their network within minutes of boarding. "We've been dreaming of the stars for centuries, Admiral. We've been training for this our entire lives." Meanwhile, Captain Lisa Blake was hunting the largest alien ships with her railgun platform. New Horizon had been built around a single massive weapon, but Blake had learned to use it like a sniper rifle. She would fire one shot, then immediately move to a new position. "Target acquired," reported her gunner. "Alien dreadnought, range 2 million kilometers. Fire," Blake ordered. The tungsten rod shot across space like a bolt of lightning. It punched through the alien ship's armor, traveled the entire length of the vessel, and exited through the other side. The dreadnought broke apart in a chain of explosions. "That's number 8, Blake said with satisfaction. "Find me another target." Commander Ryan Torres had turned his Mars research station into a weapons factory. His industrial fabricators were working around the clock, building missiles, bombs, and anything else that could hurt the aliens. But his most effective weapon was information. "All units," Torres broadcast, "I've cracked their tactical frequency. The aliens are using predictable formation patterns. Sending targeting data now." The human ships received Torres's information and immediately adapted their attacks. They knew where the aliens would be before the aliens knew themselves. The Zephyrians were fighting like a machine, following programmed responses. The humans were fighting like wild animals, changing tactics every few seconds. Dr. Helen Carter had been studying the alien ships from her laboratory on Earth. She made a discovery that changed everything. "All ships, this is Dr. Carter," she broadcast. "The alien hulls are self-repairing, but the repair systems can be overloaded. If you hit the same spot multiple times in quick succession, the repairs can't keep up." Captain Rodriguez smiled as she received the message. She had been dancing around alien ships for hours, looking for weak spots. Now she knew exactly where. "To hit them, all mining ships form up on me," she ordered. "We're going to carve these aliens into pieces." The converted mining ships moved in perfect coordination, their industrial lasers focusing on single points on the alien hulls. One laser alone couldn't penetrate the advanced armor, but dozens of them working together could cut through anything. Admiral Kexthara watched his fleet dissolve around him. His ships were being destroyed by converted cargo haulers and mining vessels. His flagship was full of human soldiers who fought like demons. His perfect formation had been shattered by an enemy that refused to follow the rules of civilized warfare. "Sir," his tactical officer said quietly, "we've lost over 200 ships. The humans are winning." For the first time in his long military career, Admiral Kexthara felt something his species had no word for. The humans called it fear. "They're not just defeating us," he whispered. "They're hunting us." Morrison's voice came through the communication. "System one final time. Admiral, you should have listened when we told you to study our history. Humans don't just fight wars. We perfect them." The pack hunters were closing in. The battle aboard the Dominion's Edge was brutal and fast. Lieutenant Colonel Sam Mitchell's Marines moved through the alien corridors like ghosts, using every trick they had learned in decades of training. The Zephyrians were stronger and tougher than humans, but they had never faced an enemy that fought with such desperate creativity. Sergeant Kate Murphy found herself cornered by 3 alien soldiers in a narrow hallway. Instead of trying to fight them directly, she grabbed a maintenance panel and ripped it open. Sparks flew as she crossed the power cables, plunging the entire section into darkness. In the confusion that followed, she eliminated all 3 aliens with her knife. "Section 7 secured," she reported into her communicator. "Copy that, Murphy," Mitchell replied from the bridge level. We've got control of their navigation system. Torres, are you getting this data? Back on Mars, Commander. Ryan Torres was receiving a steady stream of information from the boarding teams. The humans weren't just trying to destroy the alien flagship. They were stealing every piece of technology they could find. Got it, Mitchell, Torres replied. I'm downloading their star charts, weapon specifications, and fleet communication codes. This is incredible. They have maps of 17 different star systems. Admiral Kexthara realized his situation was hopeless. His fleet was being destroyed piece by piece. His flagship was overrun with human soldiers. And somehow, the primitive humans were stealing centuries of Zephyrian military knowledge. All ships, he broadcast desperately, retreat to hyperspace, full withdrawal, but it was too late. The humans had learned to predict Zephyrian tactics. As the alien ships tried to escape, they found human vessels waiting for them at every exit point. The converted mining ships and cargo haulers that had seemed so harmless were now revealed as deadly predators. Captain Amy Rodriguez intercepts 3 fleeing alien cruisers with her mining ship. Where do you think you're going? She asked over the communication channel before opening fire with her industrial laser. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the Zephyrian Confederation had lost 237 ships. Only 63 vessels managed to escape into hyperspace, and most of those were badly damaged. Admiral Kexthara was among the survivors, but only because Mitchell's Marines had taken him prisoner instead of killing him. The alien admiral sat in a human detention cell, staring at the walls in shock. How? He kept asking, how did you defeat us? Commander Morrison visited him 3 days after the battle. The human looked tired but satisfied. You want to know how we won? Morrison asked. We'll tell you, but first, you need to understand something. This wasn't a victory for us. This was a test. Kexthara looked up in confusion. A test? We wanted to see if we could defend ourselves against a superior enemy, Morrison explained. Turns out we can, but the real question is, what do we do now? Earth had lost 31 ships and nearly 8,000 lives, but they had gained something far more valuable. They had captured alien technology, star charts, and most importantly, the respect of the galaxy. 2 weeks after the battle, Captain Lisa Blake received a priority transmission from deep space. The message was unlike anything humans had ever seen before. It came from something called the Galactic Council. Greetings, people of Earth, the message began. We are the representatives of 47 different species. We have been watching your conflict with the Zephyrian Confederation. We are impressed. Director Kevin Walsh gathered all of Earth's leaders for the historic transmission. The alien on the screen looked nothing like the Zephyrians. This creature was tall and thin, with blue skin and large, gentle eyes. I am Ambassador Valtar of the Rigel Republic, the alien said. The Galactic Council has voted unanimously to offer humanity full membership in our alliance. Your application has been approved. The human leaders looked at each other in amazement. They had never even known the Galactic Council existed. Why? Asked President Sarah Williams. Why are you offering us membership? Because you did something no other species has done in over 300 years, the ambassador replied. You defeated the Zephyrians. Not just defeated them, but destroyed them so completely that their empire has collapsed. The other species they conquered are now free. Within months, human ships were patrolling 3 different star systems. The converted mining vessels and cargo haulers that had saved Earth were rebuilt as proper warships. Other species began asking for human protection against their own enemies. Commander Morrison, now promoted to admiral, stood on the bridge of humanity's first purpose-built dreadnought. The ship was called UES Defiance, and it was built using a combination of human engineering and captured alien technology. Admiral, his communications officer reported, we're receiving a message from the Zephyrian prison colony. Morrison smiled. Put it through. The face of Admiral Kexthara appeared on the screen. The once proud alien looked broken and defeated. You were right, he said quietly. We should have studied your history. We should have learned what happens to those who try to make humans kneel. "We tried to warn you," Morrison replied. "We told you we were dangerous. But you heard our laughter and thought it meant we weren't afraid." He paused, looking out at the stars that now belonged to humanity as much as anyone else. "You were wrong. We were terrified. But being afraid and being weak aren't the same thing. We've known that for a very long time." The transmission ended, and Morrison returned to his duties. Somewhere in the distance, new human colonies were being established. The converted cargo ships and mining vessels that had once carried supplies were now carrying settlers to new worlds. Dr. Helen Carter, now head of the Human Xenobiology Institute, published her famous report on the Zephyrian conflict. Her conclusion was simple: the aliens made one critical mistake. They assumed that advanced technology meant advanced tactics. They forgot that sometimes the best weapon is not giving up. The universe had learned an important lesson about humanity. When pushed to the brink, humans don't just fight back. They learn from their enemies, adapt their tactics, and turn the entire galaxy into their hunting ground. And sometimes they laugh while they do it.